Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video we are going to talk about what should be a good language for making a consent form. We have been talking about what is a consent and what are the various types of consents in data privacy. Let's move ahead with seeing how a consent form is made. For the benefit of viewers, let's quickly touch base on our definition of data privacy, which means my personal right to choose what information do I want to share, with whom do I want to share this information, what is my purpose of sharing this information, and would the second party who has collected my information be sharing this information with someone else also? If yes, what is their purpose of sharing this information? What is it that these two parties are going to perform for me or perform using my data for which they need this data, right? And the process of taking my permission, which is a mandatory thing as far as data privacy is concerned, is called consent or consent management. Because privacy brings in those rules and laws wherein if I see my information being misused or inappropriately shared, I can take a legal course to get my own interest protected, right? Now for any business, they need to collect a lot of information, personal information about various people, which includes their employees, customers, vendors, prospects, right? So they need a consent from each of their relationships to allow them to collect their information, manage their information, document their information, and store that properly and use them for a particular process. So they need to tell you what process are they going to use it and are they going to share it further. This process of obtaining, documenting and managing anyone's personal information is known as consent management, taking consent. Right? Now to obtain this information, you need to have a form. It could be a digital form, it could be a paper form. Right? So there are a few guidelines as best practices to ensure that you are using a good language for these forms. For example, to begin with, the first best practice is to use plain and simple language. Okay? Which means no jargons, no technical terms, no complex language, no legal language. The Indian DPDP Act 2023 that we have uses terms like DSRs, data subjects, their rights and principles and all. Now this is not the language that a common man would be able to understand. So use the common everyday words in your consent form so that people are able to understand that very well. If there is any slightest bit of unfamiliar word, then there should be a clear explanation of what it means. Right? So you should use very common and familiar language so that people know what are they consenting for. You should structure your form very logically, make clear sections with proper informative headings, bullet points, short paragraphs, right? Easy to understand for anyone, and take a decision to provide you the consent or reject the consent. That format of course would be in a flow, so sort of a flow chart of information. Third practice would be to be very concise and specific. No repetitions, no exaggerations, no manipulative language, no generalizations. Even if you want to give an example, it should be very straight and clear, right? So I need this information, this is how I am going to process it, and this is going to be the outcome. Very clear. Highlight key points and highlight the consent options that you see on your consent form. Use a very respectful tone, right? Disclose all the relevant information. Put up the choices in nice and polite language. Don't confuse people. Don't use manipulative language which confuses people or which can be misunderstood at any point in time, right? Review your language, create your form, share it with your stakeholders, circulate it in the entire organization internally with the stakeholders of the organization. Get their feedback. In fact, take feedback even from your language experts, and language checklists are available, so follow the language checklists and take their expert opinions, and if in case it is required, then review some sections or revisit or reword some of the sections, right? Refine your languages because you need to meet the compliance requirement also. Then you should provide multi-language option, especially if the form has to deal with a lot of local people. For example, if it's a small medical procedure form, right, and you are living in or you are having your hospital in a local area, maybe somewhere near a village or a small town, then just putting everything in English may not help. The patient would sign, the patient's family would sign because they need the treatment. But if it's in a better language, local language that they can understand well, then it's a more appropriate consent form than just getting it signed for your needs. So try and use two languages. So two languages, if that helps, that helps in covering the audiences. Even in the larger towns, maybe English is the most common language in our country as well. But maybe in some areas, some states, they are not even very good at English. So it could be Hindi plus a local language sort of a situation. Translate the meanings properly and ensure that the translated versions retain the meaning. It should not be a AI translation and then it's a different meaning. Just be very, very careful at it. And when you are giving multiple languages, then you should have again multiple experts, language checklists for each of those languages, just to make sure that your effort of giving so much of facilities does give a right result for the person who is giving you the consent. Integrate it with technology. A lot of applications are available now, consent manager platforms. And in the next few videos, as we are currently talking of consent management, so in this series we'll also talk of good features to see in a consent management platform. So if you are a tech-savvy company, you should convert your physical forms into the good technology consent forms. Store consent records very, very securely. Follow storage best practices. We have had a few videos on good storage practices, both physical as well as digital. So just go through them and ensure that your data is kept safe. It could be a legal matter if in case there is something wrong and someone challenges that you didn't obtain a consent and then you are not able to locate the consent forms, then it could become an issue, right? So be very, very careful with it. This is what I had to talk about in terms of the basic language when you are using in getting a form filled for consent for any of the privacy related or personal information related issues. In the subsequent video, we are going to talk about using visual aids as well when you are in your consent forms. So you can stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, and if you like the content, press the like and bell icon or put your feedback in the comment section for me to improvise on it. Thank you.